Hi everybody. So I want to finish up in a second video on how to finish doing your stipple stitch using different blocks. Now you can see that I have drawn as many rectangles as I possibly can. So from this point, everything I'm going to do is going to have to be freehand drawing in order to create my bricks. This is not an issue. It's just a little time consuming, but you will get the effect that you want. So you're going to choose, in this particular case, the straight lines because we are creating bricks. And you'll see that I don't have my grids on right now. I wanted you to be able to see that there were no bricks around the rows. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and add those grids back in. Makes it easier to follow as I draw my lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start right here and I'm going to come as far as the rows right there, and then I'm just going to make that a line, and it's now artwork, but I want to change it to a run, which I just did. And now you can see that that block comes right up to the rows, and so you're going to continue along that line. Each time you're going to go ahead and start in the corner and then just bring it right up to the edge of the rows. Once you've created the artwork, make it a run, and then you'll see that this run, actually I made a mistake. I went too far. So I need to back it out so that it's actually not on the rows. There you go. And you can see that that's the case. It's a different color. That's fine. We can fix all of that. Just continue looking at the shapes that you have and where they should meet and turn them into runs. Now you'll see on that one that there's actually, we're going to have a little tiny piece here in just a second that we need to add in order for the brick to line up. And you'll see that it will be let me see if I can, I just saw it, I'm not sure. Okay, it's going to be right here. And it is going to be a very small line. And that's perfectly fine. Again, go back to your cursor. And in this particular case, while you're doing these, normally when you work with these kind of designs, whether it be straight lines or curved lines, you're going to close your design out. You do not want to close these because you have a design that is there and you don't want to stitch over the top of the design. The big thing to be very careful of is you are working very close to your design, and you can see that it's very easy to stitch into your design, so you don't want to do that. Just continue bringing your lines in, turning them into runs. Oh, I didn't click my... Okay, so there's a mistake there. Very easy to fix if you do something like this. Just do an undo. Up in the corner, make it a run. See how it looks. We're going to do a little bit here. Up in the corner. make it a run, and I believe, nope, it actually worked. Okay. And you're just going to continue to work through this design a little bit at a time. Fill those pieces in. And you'll see here again, we have a very small area. I know these can get, especially when you're working with a mouse. One of the things that I would suggest that you can do to make this a little easier, zoom in a little bit. Now I can see these little tiny areas a little bit better, so I can make my lines a little faster. I see them better. And again, you're seeing multiple colors, that's fine. Changing the colors at the end is not a hard process. Now you are going to come to areas like this where you're not really sure what is this, where is the block mark. So follow your grid lines, and they will help you line this out. And you can see that right there is where the edge of my brick would be. So it would go from here to the edge of the leaf there. And now I have the effect that there is a brick there. And again, this is just piecing these together a little bit at a time. We know that this block is going to end right here. And you're literally just filling in these spaces. Now, I'm going to have part of a brick here. And I'm just doing this, we'll get it finished here in just a second. Now, if you are really picky, you can see that some of my lines right here don't line up with my grid. That is something that you can go in, ungroup your block, and fix that. It's all a matter of how picky you want to be with it. Usually with a stipple stitch, I'm not all that picky because it's not the main focus of what we're doing. I apologize, the pup's playing with the cat. And the last one. Okay, now bring the design out, and you can see that it looks like everything we have is on the rose is actually sitting on a brick, but as I said, there are multiple colors that are going on here, and we don't necessarily need that right now. So what I want to do is see all of these lines. Well, first off, I have an artwork here that needs to be run. But you see all of these different colors. So the easiest thing to do is we're just going to hold down the control key, and we're going to select these. And we're going to make them this color red. And we'll do the same thing here. So now you notice that our bricks are all the same color. The one thing I want you to do is I want you to go back into your sequence view, and starting where the bricks are, I need you to scroll through that and make sure that you've made each block and each line that you have made into a run. See here, I missed one. It's an artwork. So I need to change that because if it is an artwork, the machine will not recognize it and will not stitch it. And so it's going to look a little funny to be missing some blocks. But there you go. That is how to finish a rounded design, especially when you're using shapes in a block. The one thing that is not in this block that I don't know if I have said anything about or you noticed is that I have not created the placement and the tack down stitch. It's very possible for me to do that right now. It's not a very hard process. I know that this is an 8x8 block, so I'm going to go ahead and come up here and I'm going to draw my block, open my properties box. I'm going to turn this artwork into a run. I'm going to make it an 8x8. And I'm going to apply. There's my 8x8. I'm going to lay this over the top of that. Now I'm going to do a copy and a paste. And you'll see I have two blocks here. Now one thing to notice in the sequence box is although I drew squares, these look like they're half squares or L's or something like that. Sometimes the whole stitch does not show on the sequence view, and the reason is because it's too big or there's other things. So when you see something like this, select on the item itself, and what you're going to notice is that you have an adjustment point on all four corners, and you have adjustment points in the middle of each one of them. It means you have a square. You don't have half a square. You don't have a triangle. You don't have anything like that. When you click on it, these are going to tell you what your design is, and so that's something to pay attention to. Just because the sequence view only shows half doesn't mean that that's what's on the screen. So the next thing that we need to do in order to make this a quilt block is we're going to click on this first square. We're going to click on that first square because we know that that is our tack down and our placement for our batting. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to place those in the very first positions of the block, because those are the first things we do. We do the placement stitch, we do a tack down stitch, and actually because we're not doing an applique, we're going to need a third run stitch. And again, It adds it to the bottom, just bring it up here to the top, and now you have your placement tack down and your finished stitch. So again, this is a good opportunity to add notes. Go ahead and insert before that this is a tack down. Or no, I'm sorry, I apologize. This is a placement. This is the tack down. And this is the finishing. All right, so there you go. That is creating the two parts of the video to create a quilt block where you are using circles or squares or other shapes that are already in Floriani, and you can work around it and make it look like it was meant to be there. Any questions, let me know.